How are you feeling today, Shannon? Let's just shoot the shit for like a
Oh
minute.
yeah, sure. I'm weirdly nervous.
Me too.
I just texted you to not be nervous because this is literally like the 122nd time that we've done this.
I know that.
So it's like it shouldn't be hard, but I'm scared because
we don't usually have an audience.
Yeah.
So.
I remember feeling also kind of nervous when we did that like live audio amino show.
Yeah.
But like you all can see me. So like I put nails on last night and I like brightened my hair color so that like because people are going to be looking at me today.
Yeah, I did my hair and I put on my eyebrows and I made a bulletin board.
Show everyone what you did.
So my computer doesn't do Zoom backgrounds because it's not fancy enough. So I made a Zoom background. This is a cardboard box that's been collaged. I have 17. These are like weird, they're actually terrible quality photos, but they're from the like Boys B album. They're just really washed out.
Yeah.
And then my XOSC and my 1 of 1, and then I have all the little photo cards.
Your 10 photo cards.
Yeah, this one's Minghao, this one's 10 and Taeyong, this one's DK, and then this one's 10 again. So yeah.
Love it. All right. So for the sake of time, I think we should probably just get going. I know people might be rolling in. Okay, so this is going to be awkward, but I have to start my show now. So watch me turn into a robot. Here we go. Hello, and welcome to Ask Me About K-Pop, the essential guide for recent converts and seasoned fans alike. My name is Shannon.
And I'm Angelica.
And welcome to our live KPSN Podcast Festival episode.
Woo! Shout out to our silent audience.
They're typing, woo, yay!
And putting applause emojis.
I love it. So a quick introduction to us, if you are not familiar with our show. I am Shannon, and Angelica and I are best friends and have known each other for like 12 years. And I got into K-pop exactly 7 years ago today.
Yes,
it's my K-pop anniversary.
K-pop anniversary.
Thank you. I think first and foremost, we identify as Shawwals, and that is very important to us. Yes.
Agreed.
Yeah. I'm an 88 liner. I worship Hyuna. I also really like EXO and Monsta X, and I'm really getting into like the boys lately. We're mostly boy group stans. A-Pink is my like favorite girl group ever. What about you, Angelica? What are some things that people should know about you?
Shawol first and foremost for sure. And I like devour all of Timin's solo stuff as well. Carrot I feel like is number 2, and then EXO maybe is like number 3. They waver, depending, you know. But I also really love my solo ladies. I am a huge fan of Sunmi and Boa and Jung-hwa. And yeah, I don't know. Yeah. We're like very multi-fandom. We like to dabble.
I think it's been, somebody was noting in our Discord how much we've grown in the last, we've been doing our podcast for 2.5 years, and K-pop has changed exponentially since we've started it. And we as fans have changed very significantly in that now we know so much about K-pop that I think we consume a way wider spectrum of it. So like I have a lot of love for a lot of groups, whereas a couple of years ago I was just like Shiny and A-Pink is all I care about. But
yeah, our bubble was very small, and from this podcast for sure it has like grown exponentially.
So this podcast, if you are not familiar with it, is an educational K-pop podcast. It is our mission to tell the world about K-pop, to help new fans find a way into K-pop, and to help the curious understand it, and also for longtime fans to learn things that they might not have before.
Yes, we try to create like a little encyclopedia. So if you've never listened to our show before and you've ever wondered about any particular aspect of K-pop, like please just scroll through our table of contents of all of we have over 100 episodes, and we've done everything from the companies themselves to like the way that the groups are set up, training days, love scandals, group deep dives. We have all kinds of stuff.
All kinds of things. So we put out new episodes every Wednesday. We're available everywhere podcasts are found. And today, what we're going to do is, back when we started this podcast, I had a very, very big list of vocabulary words that I felt like were K-pop terms that I had to learn as I was getting into K-pop. And today, we're going to talk about 10 terms that are 9. We're going to talk about
9.
some. We're going to talk about some words that were on that original list, but it somehow in 118 episodes, we've never found a way to like bring those specific things up. So it might feel kind of random and some of them might feel kind of basic, but for the compendium encyclopedia of our podcast, we must take a moment to like discuss all of these terms.
Yes, this is sort of getting back down into our fundamentals, right, of our vocabulary and educational resources. So this is like a grab bag of different phrases you might come across in consuming any type of K-pop content, from like a variety show or a particular group's reality show or like an interview or something, or maybe even you'll hear it in like a lyric.
Sure. All right, so let's get started. Would you like to start our first
No, you
word
can go
on the
first.
list? I will start. Okay. So the first word on our list I read is apparently statistically the most common Korean slang word for non-Korean speakers to know. And this word is daebak. So the actual definition is like jackpot or like unexpected fortune. But it's used for like big feelings. Most of the time it's positive, like, wow, daebak. But sometimes it's like, oh, did you hear like so-and-so's like cheating on their wife? Like, oh, daebak. Like it's
Yeah,
it's like
it could
an
just
expression.
be a general like, wow. But it is usually positive.
But yeah, this word is around all the time. It gets used in so many situations. So like I said, people who don't speak Korean pick up this word very quickly because it's a pretty universal.
Well, it's also
it has
like,
a lot of utility.
yes, it is used in a lot of different contexts, but it's also used as like the name of a lot of different companies. And so it's a brand that like non-Korean people might be more familiar with. There's like I know here in LA, we have a big Korean population. And so there's like restaurants that are called daebak. There's K-pop daebak with Eric Nam, right? That's a podcast. There's also companies like Daebak Box or Daebak Family. So it's like a very recognizable K-pop slang or Korean slang, excuse me.
Yes. And also we just like noted here, there's one of the like Return of Superman kids. His like fetus nickname was Daebak. And they kept calling him that till he was like 4, and then he wanted to be called his own name, but like it's cute. If you look up the word, pictures of him come up a lot.
Yeah, I tried to YouTube like examples of this word being used in like K-pop songs or on stage or whatever, just any idol saying the word. And the only thing that came up was the baby. So
yeah.
So I gave up.
So that's daebak. Got it. Next.
The next word that we have, this word, I feel like I learned it for the first time in dramas, but it is skinship. And this is a word this is actually like it's not an English word.
It's a Konglish word.
Yes.
And a Konglish word is like a word that's derived from English that Koreans use, but it is not an English word that people who speak English use. It's like a word that only Korean people use, but it's like made of English words.
Yes. And so that's interesting because like when I first heard Konglish, I was thinking like Spanglish, like it's a mix of English and Spanish. So I thought it was like a mix of Korean and English, but it's not really a mix of Korean and English because it's just it's like creating a new word out of English words.
Yes.
So skinship is like the phrase that it said that doesn't translate into Korean. And it is basically any physical contact between two people. And so it is usually thought of as like, well, I just said physical contact, but it's usually thought of in a romantic way. Like I said, the first exposure I had to this term or this idea was in dramas. So you can sort of like gauge you can gauge two people's relationship, like how close they are based on how much skinship they share. And it could be platonic, like two friends have a lot of skinship, but it can also be romantic as well. So in dramas, for example, like the first moment of skinship is always a really big deal. It's one of those slow-mo, repeat it from several different angles moments. Even if it's of just the brush of the fingers. But then it's like that 1 second takes like 5 minutes of the whole episode.
Yeah. I love this word. I think it's really great, and I feel like it should be adopted into English.
I totally agree.
I feel like the only comparable thing we have is PDA, or public displays of affection, but I feel like that has like a negative connotation of like people making out in line at the restaurant and making everyone uncomfortable. Whereas just like hugging your friend is like skinship, and like, I don't know, I just think it's a nice term, and I feel like it should be used more.
I agree. I also think it's a nice term. One other phrase I want to like add it in because I feel like it fits here, and I had never heard it until I was like becoming, more versed in K-pop, but back hug. Like that's a phrase that we don't really use. That's another sort of Konglish word where like we don't really say that in English when you like hug someone from behind, but in Korea it is like a thing. Like it is an action. It is like a type of affection. Is to do a little back hug, and it's so cute.
Cute. All right. So the next thing that we have on our list is a phrase that is heard constantly if you consume any Korean media at all. And this is 가위바위보, which is rock, paper, scissors. And I have an example of what it looks like, just so. Oh, did that work? Hey, screen share. Ooh, yeah, it did. 가위바위보. So that's how it's spelled. I feel like a lot of the times, because people say it so fast, people think it's just 가위바위보 or something, because people just say it really fast, but it's 가위 and 바위. Just thought that was interesting. This is rock, paper, scissors. Gawi is the scissors. Bawi is the rock. And then bowl means like wrapping cloth. So not paper directly, but it's the same thing. And then the phrase that you say before you do the rock, paper, scissors is 안 내면 진거 가위바위보. And that means if you don't put something out, you lose. Rock, paper, scissors. And I've noticed that Korean people do the scissors like this, like finger guns instead of peace sign. But yeah, this game is like part of idols' like daily bargaining lives. They seem to play it for everything. Like, and they who gets to sit where
so quickly.
The thing that blows my mind.
The speed with which they do it, especially like big groups, like when I watch 17, like, because like you said, they use it to decide everything, right? It's just like the easiest, fastest, most fair way to pick something. When 17 does it, and they'll do it, and they'll just go like, bo, 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 and like people will like drop out without saying anything. Like they just like in an instant see
they
who
can
won
assess
and who
all
lost.
13 hands. I don't understand.
I don't know how they do it. I don't get it. And I also like my brain doesn't understand the like rate, the like probability or whatever. I don't get the math of like if someone does this, but someone like if you have 10 people, how do you know
what
who
you
wins
have
and
to?
loses?
I think
because doesn't eventually like everybody
for...
lose?
The answer is you need to be looking. The reason they keep throwing it is because it doesn't count until there's only 2 options in the circle. So if all 3 options are being thrown, then you throw it again until there's only rocks and papers, and the papers win.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. I totally get it. And then they continue like, so you'll throw it over and over until 1, there's only 2 options left, and 2, like you dwindle the group down and down. So oh man, the speed, it's like mind boggling.
Yes, but it's an important part of like consuming K-pop is watching people play rock, paper, scissors. So
yeah, I wonder how many hours of just rock, paper, scissors I've seen in all of my like if I was to condense it all together.
A lot, I'm sure. All right,
The next
turn.
one. Okay, the next one we have is, I think, my favorite on the list, just because I think it's so funny. I just think it's like a delightful phrase, and it is manner hands. And manner hands is the way, yes, thank you. Manner hands is his teachel. So notice how he is like floating his hand over the girl's shoulder. He's not actually touching or like holding onto the shoulder. This is an example of manner hands. And it basically means that like you use your wrist to like touch the other person. You're not actually using your hands. And so it's sort of a way to like be respectful and also show that like you're not in a relationship with that person. Like you're not actually that close. As we all know, as being K-pop fans, like fans hate it when idols have relationships, or they love to wag a finger
at all.
So there's this whole idea of manner hands to like keep that, from being an issue in photographs. There's also a really hilarious concept called manner legs, which I think is really funny. So that's Chanyeol standing next to Suho. And so manner legs is the idea of if someone is really tall, but they are standing next to somebody who's technically their senior or they're older than them in some way, then the really tall person needs to stand spread eagle like Chanyeol is, so that they're not as tall as the person, so that they don't like tower over the person who's socially like a higher status. And I just think that's the cutest fucking picture. It makes me so laugh. Suho's so small. But yeah, so that's manner hands and manner legs. And I just wanted to show, can we play the little like Taecyeon Yuna clip?
One moment.
Okay, before we play it, little context. So the reason that like idols do this, right, is so that they don't get into trouble. And in 2009 at the Korean Music Festival, 2PM and Girls' Generation did a special stage, a love medley with like all these different songs. And they do little partner dances, and it's really fun in that like kind of silly like second gen way, but there's a moment where Taecyeon has to lift Yuna, and people got really mad because of the lack of manner hands that he used.
For us to make it, just enough to take us to the morning. I got fire in my mind, I get higher in my walking, and I'm glowing in the dark. I give you warning. That's sweet city woman.
Okay, I don't know how good of a quality video that was for everybody else. To be honest, on my end, it was a little bit like choppy, but
the point is he had his hands like right on her.
Oh yeah, the point is he has to pick her up, and so his hand is like up in her pit and like on her leg, and then like they do some twirls and his hand is on her back, and he actually touched her because oh dear God, he had to pick her up. But anyway, that's just an example of how people get mad, and that's why we have manner hands.
And yeah, manner hands in choreography is definitely very real. We talked about it a while back, where Yuno and Boa did their song Swing. And there's a part where it looks like he's like, running his hand up her thigh so hot, but at a different angle you can tell that he's got his wrist out weird, and he was not touching her at all.
Yes, I like that that duo that Taeyang did with, I don't remember who.
Solgi, right?
Yes, with Solgi. They were dancing together and his hand is like this far away from her thigh. It's a funny thing. And it's a cute phrase. Manner hands.
I like it. All right. Is this next one me?
Yes, it is.
Okay. So the next one is another phrase that I feel like is easy to pick up for non-Korean people, and that's "hwaiting." And this is another Konglish word, because there is no F in the Korean alphabet. So they changed it to a hwa instead. So hwaiting, but it is fighting. And it does have origins in sports. But it's just like, it's an encouraging thing to say to somebody, like right before they go on stage or before they go to a job interview or like whatever, like hwaiting, like do a great job. I have an example of Shiny saying it. It's just in case you need to see someone to like say it better than me. Whoops.
That's okay.
Technical difficulties.
I was just going to say we need that little screen of like do 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 do.
Oh, look at our birthday boy.
Cute.
Anyway,
Yeah, I always think of whiting as like a you can do it, like that kind of phrase. Like you hear it a lot as like a cheer or chant for like backstage. I included this little clip just because I think it's funny. There's like a recurring joke in 17 that they use the word whiting as Hoshi's wake up call. It is the only way that you can wake him up.
Watch me. What's the right there?
Oh, you don't have to keep playing it. Wait, I can't hear it. Can everybody else hear it?
I don't know.
Okay. I didn't hear it at all.
Damn, I fucked it up. Okay, point is, Hoshi's sleeping and then they yell, Hoshi whiting! And he wakes up and he screams it back.
Yes, that is what happens. And there's that particular clip has it's a montage. So it's basically like, and it's throughout the years, like he's got different hairstyles, he's different ages, and they always, by the end of the video, he's very annoyed. like now it's been years and he wakes up and he just gives them like a stank face and goes back to sleep. Anyway,
right.
Okay.
That's right.
That's that. Okay, the next one, also a phrase that I think is really funny, and this is chocolate abs. And the meaning of chocolate abs is that you have really chiseled abs that resemble a bar of chocolate. So it's usually reserved for people who are like super well defined, like 6 or 8 packs. There's not really specifically like a Korean term for it. Like there's not a Hangul version of this word.
Yeah.
It's
you were very strange. I have this weird K-pop dictionary that my brother gave me for Christmas like years ago. It's kind of cringy. We'll probably do a bonus episode about it someday, but like it has a chocolate abs definition, and if you like look it up, there's like a million blogs saying that phrase in English. But in a video where 17 did K-pop slang with Vanity Fair, they see the chocolate abs. Nobody knows what it means. Vernon says, it's like your stomach looks like chocolate in Korean. And then they all go, oh. But they like, it's like they've never heard it. So I think this is like an international fan term. I don't know where it comes from, but like.
Yeah, I think it comes from fans, but it doesn't seem to come from Korean fans, which is interesting. Yeah. Because it's not like a Hallyu term, the way that like manor hands or like whiting is, but but it is a term that you see like a ton of blogs, like here are the top 10 idols with chocolate abs. And so some idols who are known for their chocolate abs are let's see, we've got EXO Kai, of course. He does a whole he shows them off all the time. Big Bang's Taeyong, Rain, 2PM's Taecyeon, Super Junior's Siwon, J Park, Wonho, of course, Slowpoke Megan, I'm so sorry. Like perhaps the like most beefy idol to exist ever. Wonho. But I thought it was really interesting when I was reading through all of those blog lists of like best abs or whatever. There was a term that kept coming up, which I had never even heard until this research, but it was the idea of 11 abs. And this is a term that is used specifically for girls, because girls, obviously, when they work out their stomach, like usually the aesthetic goal is not to have like a chocolate bar. What they work for instead is to have these like well-defined lines down the sides of their stomach. And so it looks like the number 11. And so the term for women is 11 abs. That's the like equivalent for chocolate abs. And so some idols who are known for their 11 abs, we have like Hyuna, Crystal from FX, Mina from Twice, Hani from EXID, and Solar from Mamamoo are all idols I've seen that are praised for their abs.
Wow.
Yeah. So that was kind of fun. I thought that there was a female equivalent, but I had never heard that phrase, so I don't know how popular it really is.
Yeah, I feel like the only body term that gets said a lot is S-line, which is like girly curves. That's the one I feel like I hear constantly. Okay, next term. So this one is NG, and that's the English N and G, and this stands for no good, and it's an editing term. And I feel like in in English speaking media or Western media, the term that we use is like blooper or outtake. But in Japan and Korea, they just use NG.
Oh.
There's even an NG emoji like in the emojis. And so sometimes like blooper reels or like extra cuts from variety shows will be labeled as NG cuts on YouTube. And then often I've noticed like if idols are on Weekly Idol and one of the members is like doing something very embarrassing or makes a very bad joke, like other members will stand up and make an X with their hands and be like NG, NG, like calling for it to be cut because like, oh, it's too embarrassing. So just that's what it stands for. It stands for no good. Very simple. No good. Cut it out.
Yeah, I like that. I have definitely noticed that a lot on like shows like Knowing Brothers, where eventually it sort of like devolves into some kind of chaos, and then like someone screams out like "edit that out, NG" or whatever. The next term that we had is one that I have just recently, I feel like, been hearing a lot. I don't know how old this term is, but I feel like it just recently entered my personal K-pop lexicon, and this is a nugu group. And nugu is Korean for who. So this term nugu group is used mostly disparagingly by K-nets to describe rookie groups or unpopular idols. I've also seen in recent articles like a few different K-pop blogs that use the term to describe underrated groups. So not necessarily a new rookie group, but someone who is maybe like not that well known, then they'll use that term to describe them. But the K-net, it seems like K-nets tend to use it in like a derogatory term.
Yeah.
And some other like international fans are maybe starting to use it as more of like, oh no, they're an underdog, like a little bit more of a positive connotation.
I think there's also like a tendency a lot of times, like if a word or a term is being like used against somebody to try to like reclaim it. So I think sometimes like people will use like my nugus as like an extra dig that like, oh, this G-Friend video is like blowing up, like, oh, who's a nugu group now, like or like, oh, my nugus won a trophy today, like I don't know, people just like take the terms back for themselves. But like it means
throw it in their face.
Who, so it's like saying like I don't even know who that is, like it's rude.
Yeah. It's that super bitchy of just
who. Yeah. All right, last word.
It's your turn.
Oh, it is my turn. Sorry, I was still talking. So I was like, you go. Our last word is another Konglish word, and this is selka. And selka, its English origins are self and camera. Selka.
Yeah.
So it's just a selfie, but it's a funner word for it. And the way that I feel like it comes up most often is like nowadays, most of the time, the photo cards that come in albums are Selka photo cards. Back in the day, they would be like concept photo cards, but now they make them like Selkas because I think it seems more personal because it's like, oh, it's like when your friend sends you one.
And they like, it's supposed to be that added, like the idol took the photo and also specifically chose the photo like to give to you or whatever.
But also, just so people know, I did see like a very interesting behind the scenes photo of some group taking their album art. And there was a very nice professional camera. And then the idol just held their hand out to the camera. So it's like a fake selfie, a fake selka.
That's really funny that they would like go to those lengths because then you also have like, you know, like Kibum like puts photos, like one of his photo cards was him with like a mask on, like a mud mask on or whatever. Like then because you have some groups that are like trying to take super professional like selkas, and then you have other groups that are like trolling their fans like with their selkas. Like the one that I got for this XOSC album is Chanyeol with the baby filter face on.
Or that famous Dio one that was just like his forehead.
Yes,
and
it's
his, like,
just
eyes
his forehead.
Yeah. The other way that I feel like it comes up in fandom a lot is that like fans on the internet have in the past couple of years started doing what they call like Selka days, where on a certain day of the month, you take your own Selka that like maybe you're wearing the same color shirt or have the same background as like a Selka of your bias, and then you put them side by side on Twitter and say something nice. And people do it like once a month.
Yeah.
So that's fun. And then side note, there's a Mamamoo song from 2015 that's called Self Camera, and it is a bop. And I just wanted to say so.
I feel like I don't know that song. The name doesn't ring a bell to me.
It was like pre-Piano Man. It's like old.
Oh, okay. That is pretty old.
But it's good.
I think it's fun. Yeah, I didn't realize like when I first heard the word Selka, I just thought like, oh, okay, it's a different word for selfie. Like that's strange. But knowing now that it is self plus camera, like that makes so much sense. Because then you also hear, and you see it a lot on translations of like, because Selka, they'll also use it to refer to video cameras sometimes too. Like, I know when I'm watching something like Going 17, and then the camera, like there's the producer has like a camera or whatever. And then there's also, of course, like maybe one of the members has a Selka. They have like a self camera.
Right. A self camera.
Yeah. It's fascinating.
There it is. All right. So those were our list of like random terms that we'd never found a place for before. And so I'm going to say something for the sake of the recording, but we're not going anywhere. We'll be right back with our random game. So if you're not a regular listener of our show, we play this game at the end of every episode. It's so cleverly titled The Random Game because we never came up with a name for it, and then 2 years went by. But I have a really big spreadsheet of like every group that's ever debuted that has an English Wikipedia page. They just have to have a page. Sometimes it only has a sentence on it.
But that's it. It's enough to make the cut.
And then we have Google roll the dice and pick a number for us. And then we learn a little something about that group. And then we watch their most popular music video, or if they are a pre-YouTube group, their most popular song. And that's how it works. So who did we get today?
So today we got a group called Alphabat. So it's Alphabet, but the E, instead of a B-E-T, it's B-A-T. And this is currently a 5-member hip-hop group that was originally formed by Shimtong Entertainment in 2013. They are still together under APB Entertainment. And when they originally debuted, they had I had it in my notes and then I don't remember. I was trying to say how many they had when they first debuted. Oh, they debuted. I have a
picture of them up right now. 9. It's 9, right?
They debuted as 9. Yes. So 2 of the members started as like a hip hop duo under YUB Entertainment. Then that duo got taken to Shimtong Entertainment. They added members, debuted as 9, Alphabat. And their debut concept was that they would have rotating positions. So there's not one person who's like the lead dancer and the lead singer. They're like prepared to do whatever. The interesting, or like one of the strange things, I guess, their like alphabet concept is that all of their names are spelled with like D:\Elta, but it's just
so it's like
Delta.
The Roman, it's like Roman alphabet, alpha, beta, Greek, sorry. Alpha, beta, delta, whatever. So all of them, that's their names. And then the colons and like, wow, what a gimmick.
Yeah, it's pretty nuts. Just some fun facts about the members that I read. Epsilon is Teen Top Ricky's brother. Code and Heta, these are all their stage names, obviously. They almost debuted with EXO. Delta and Jada almost debuted with Boyfriend. And whoever the one whose name is Lambda is, he's hot.
Wow. Great note. That's the kind of notes you can expect from asking me about.
Yeah, this is the kind of in-depth research you can expect.
We will tell you.
Do you want to take it over for the rest of their history?
Sure. In 2016, they signed with a Japanese label, and then 5 of the members enlisted, possibly. Unofficial departure is what we have in quotes. Then they added a member to continue as 5. Another one had to go to the military in 2016, one more in 2017, leaving us with only 4 left. They added another member in 2018. So now we're at 5. We've got Beta, Epsilon, Gamma, Kappa, and Lambda left.
What a mouthful.
They put out 3 EPs, but the last one was in 2017. 10 music videos. I guess one came out at some point this year. That's interesting.
Yeah, their last EP was in 2017, and then since then it seems like they put out 1 single a year.
Interesting. Well, that's something. And then not a big name award show, but they did get Rookie of the Year at some award show once. And we're going to watch their most watched music video, which is called Ab City, which is like, it's spelled like AB City, but there are people with the name ABCDE and it's pronounced Ab City. So keep the alphabet
I think is
going.
more like, Alphabat City, like A, B, and then City, like the...
Sure.
Yeah. Also, I just saw somebody mentioned, is this an example of a Nugu group? And yes, I think it would be. This is a great example of a Nugu group.
Okay, so we're going to all try to watch it together. I don't know how well it will go. I think when you share a Zoom videos, it lags a little bit. So
can you just make sure you hit that optimize for video?
Okay.
I don't know if it
video
will
is
fully
optimized. All right. Are we all ready? Yeah. Okay, here comes Alphabat. Ab City.
Alphabat.
Alphabat.
Okay. Ugh, clever wallpaper.
Sirens. Drop crotch pants and shorts over pants. We got it all.
And we just have like 2 box sets. White and black. Oh, this is a different sound than I expected.
So many letters.
I know. It's like too many letters. Like, we get it. Is that guy wearing a fringed leather skirt?
I think he is. It's pleated if it's not fringe.
Work it. This melody doesn't match this beat. No?
I mean, a little bit. It's kind of boring.
Is that the only part of the alphabet they know?
I mean, they don't need to go any farther than 9 letters. That's all they need.
I guess that's true. But their names don't go in alphabetical order.
Well, maybe the Greek alphabet is arranged differently. I don't know.
No, they never had an A. They never had an alpha.
Oh, that's important, I guess.
I think they started with beta.
I like his eye
diamonds.
jewels.
Jinx.
Time's up. Game over. 우리 시작인데 뭘 바래. Time's up. Game over. It's over.
Game over.
This is not very good.
It's just like, I don't know. I feel like this aesthetic of just like chain link fences and like poker cards. And it's like, I don't know. What are you trying to say?
It just feels like also those chain link fences had like balloons on the top.
There are a lot of balloons. We haven't mentioned. There's so many balloons.
There's so many balloons. It's just very like gymnasium graduation
Yes.
vibes.
Like if your prom was themed like New York City. So they like put up
Yes.
some like chain link
Yeah.
fences and some cones to be like, it's the street. A, B, C, D, E, F, G.
Oh my god.
All right.
Wow. Wow.
Wow.
You know, Shimtong Entertainment sounds familiar to me. I don't know why. Maybe they're just reminding me of something else.
I
Anyway.
have no idea. Anyway, so that's the random game. And then this is the part of the show where we do a weekly recommendation, where we recommend something that we think our listeners should check out, whether it's old or new, or on topic or not. Just something.
Yes, you can go first because I definitely have a recommendation, but I forgot what it was. So I have to like remind myself of it.
Need a minute. Okay, so my recommendation, I feel like, is maybe my most polarizing recommendation ever, just because I feel like this topic is extremely polarizing, and that is a cappella music.
Oh.
I feel like people
I really didn't know where you were going with that one.
I feel like people feel very strongly in either direction about a cappella music. But there's a group on YouTube, and their whole name is in Hangul, but it's a cappella narin. And then sometimes you can find it with Narin, but it's probably easier to find their stuff using the titles of their videos, like Evolution of Twice, Evolution of EXO, Evolution of Red Velvet. They do these amazing like 5 to 8 minute compilations where they just like smoothly run in like a whole artist's career, a cappella style. There's 5 of them. They're really, really good, and they're like, sometimes their transitions are so clever, and I just really like it. So if you like acapella and K-pop at all, I would definitely check out this YouTube channel, Acapella Narin, Evolution of Blank. They've done quite a few videos, and they're really good.
Fun fact, when I was studying journalism in undergrad, I was the acapella correspondent for my college's radio show, and I covered the acapella circuit in Boston.
See, and I went to a high school that was like we were like an a cappella barbershop focused high school, and like that's what our choir did. And we had like several rival barbershop choirs at our high school, and they would just like break into barbershop fights in the frickin'
hallway.
courtyard. It was
Did you live in like a
ridiculous.
Disney musical?
No, I lived in Central Texas.
I'm just kidding. Okay, my recommendation is sort of a little marriage. It is how Texas is. It's true. My recommendation is a marriage of some things we talked about last week. Last week we did an episode about trot music, and one of our recommendations, we like gushed about SF9 for a little while. And in my like falling for SF9, I've found so many different songs of theirs that I like, but they were also on an episode of Finding Sugar Man, I think is the name of the show.
Yes, I think that's what it's called. Yeah.
So there's a show on there's a Korean TV show called Finding Sugar Man, and it's the name is like the same as a documentary that was like very popular.
That's
a
about
few
an
years
underground
ago.
musician or something.
Yeah, it's about like a one-hit wonder, like a person who like they're looking for the songwriter of this particular song. And so the concept of that show, Waiting for Sugarman, Finding Sugar, what did I just say it was called?
What I think you said Finding Sugar Man.
Anyway, the concept of this show is that they get like new current artists, whether they're idols or soloists or whatever, to redo a song from like a one-hit wonder, like an older one-hit wonder. And then they usually do like a collaboration stage, like with the original artist and then the like new one. And SF9 was on an episode, and they put out a song called 9 to 5. Which originally I clicked on it because I thought it was going to be the Dolly Parton one, but it's not. It's like a totally different like trot-ish song, and it's really good. It was like super fun in that like great like swing like grooviness of trot, and SF9 has really good singers in it, and yeah. So there's not like I couldn't find a performance of it. I just like listened to it, but you can find it on Spotify. It's 9 to 5 SF9, sort of a trot crossover back in the mix.
Wonderful. I love that. I'm so happy with how the trot episode turned out, and so many people really loved it, and I'm proud of it. And I've been listening to so much trot this week because like it's good. It's so good.
It's good. I'm really loving Soul Playboy's discography. He's got a good voice.
He does. All right, that's all for our very first live on Zoom episode. Thank you to everybody who's joining us in person, and thank you to everybody who's listening later on. If you would like to find us on social media, we can be found at AMAKPopPod on Twitter and Instagram. You can send emails to AMAKPopPod@gmail.com. We have a voicemail, 181-AMAKPop5, if you want to leave us a message and hear it on the show. We are also now on Patreon, patreon.com/AMAKPopPod. For a small monthly donation, you can get access to bonus episodes or help us with the show. And we'll have our first bonus episode up soon, and I'm so excited about it. Thank you to all the people who've already joined.
Yeah, we have really fun stuff planned. I'm like very excited to start creating a bonus content, because just like a spoiler alert, like bonus content will be a little bit more like unfiltered fun.
Right. Because we do so much research work for the regular show, and we don't want to stop doing that. But like the bonus episodes will probably just be us having more fun with less reading involved. So that's all for us today. We'll be back next week with something fun. Thank you again to everybody who's joining us. We love you all. Have a great day. Goodbye.
Bye.
Jonghyun, you're our inspiration.